Welcome back to Beyond the Deal, where we go past the transactions, past the titles, and into the stories that actually shape who we become. Because the truth is, success is never just about the deal. It's about what it costs you, what it builds in you, and who you become on the other side of it. Today's guest is someone who knows that journey firsthand. Leanne Via has spent more than 2 decades in the mortgage and lending industry, helping hundreds of families navigate one of the most important financial decisions of their lives. As the leader of Team Via at the Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, she's built a business rooted in trust, education, and a belief that a mortgage is more than just a transaction. It's part of a much bigger story. From the outside, lending can look like numbers, rates, and approvals. But like so many careers built around people, there's a deeper story unfolding beneath the surface. Leanne has built her business almost entirely on relationships and referrals, walking with clients through uncertainty, first-time homeownership, and the life transitions that often carry as much emotion as they do financial weight. But this conversation isn't just about mortgages or lending. It's about trust, responsibility, and what it means to guide people through the decisions that shape their future. It's about building a business that's not just successful, but deeply personal. So whether you're buying your first home, leading clients through complex decisions, or building something rooted in relationships, this episode is going to meet you there. I'm Lacey Labs, here with my co-host Laura Martin. Let's get into it. Leanne Via, welcome to Beyond the Deal. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, awesome.
Glad you're here.
Let's just start with that first question. Give us a little bit of your background and how you got started.
I'm actually from the central Pennsylvania area. I grew up in Dauphin. I graduated locally. I did not go to college. I took the harder, more windier path to get where I am today. I wouldn't change anything at this point, but it was definitely not quite the easy way. My background includes anything from banking to bartending to debt collection. I do feel that all of those things help lead me to where I am and have given me a greater understanding of helping people, which is really what I love to do. And I get to help people every day. I change their lives. I'm a part of the biggest transaction that most of them go through, and it's just really amazingly awesome. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's so cool. I didn't know you were from the area. That's fun.
I am, yeah. Left a couple times, but always seem to land back here. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. So how did you end up in mortgages? You said you have a couple different things in your background, but tell us a little bit about the story that actually landed you. Like, how did you start doing it? What were you doing before? And what kind of drew you in?
Okay. Immediately before being in mortgages, I was actually in debt recovery. So I helped, the portfolio I collected was for the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue and the Attorney General's office. So that was kind of helpful. And before that, I had collected medical debt and utility debt. And that was always I enjoyed that because I know it sounds weird to say I enjoyed it. It does, but I did because the whole goal was to get my clients' money back, but also help the people get out of debt, right? So it could be a win-win situation if you could get there. And during that time period, my mother needed some financing, and the guy at the local bank, she wasn't dealing with him. She was dealing with another company, and she was very intimidated by it because she didn't have a relationship. So I said, well, I'm willing to help you out, and I'll just interact with the guy. And that guy said, hey, I think you have a real talent for this if you'd want to give it a shot. So I kicked it around, and I finally, obviously, I made the move. I made the move to that organization, and those are the folks, with the exception of about 3 years of my career, I've been with them the whole 23 years of my career outside of that 3 years.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah. So it was great. So they mentored me. I had no experience with home finance. They mentored me and were just so supportive, and I'm so grateful for them. I literally would not be here if it wasn't for Bob, who's no longer with us, but he just said, I think you have a talent, and I really think you'd be great at this. And you want to talk about somebody believing in you and just changing your life. That was definitely life-changing for me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But you met your husband at doing the debt collection.
I did, yeah. So as I mentioned, I was in the operations end of the organization. He came in, I guess close to a year after I had started. He was in the executive side of things, and we were friends for a long time before we got involved with each other romantically. But so that job was life-changing for me as well. And that had come after I I was previously married. I had my son, and so I was a single mom. And so that was my first job back in the workforce. So there was all kinds of change and all good. And now Bruce and I have been together for, I don't know, more years than I can count right now. So, but a long time. So it's been great.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. That's really neat. Really neat story. Thanks for sharing for us.
Yeah.
So how did the experiences in debt collection and recovery shape the way that you deal with your clients now, right? Those are two really different sides of a somewhat similar idea in the sense that it's, you're walking with people on their personal finances, which is a kind of private and sensitive matter for a lot of people.
It's true.
And I'm sure that you dealt with individuals, right, in those debt collection calls or conversations. And so how did that perspective on people's finances and their stories impact or influence the way that you today, or when you started, deal with the people side of mortgage lending?
Yeah, so it's right. I think you've nailed it, that it is personal finance for people, and it can be very touchy on both sides of things. And that I think really helped me, because in that situation, when somebody's in debt, it's a very vulnerable position to be in. Most people do not seek debt. They find themselves in debt. And so there's a lot of hurt and anguish and pain behind that, and a lot of shame and guilt. And so to try to get them past that and get them to the point where we can come to a resolution where they're taking care of the obligation so they can feel good about it, my client can feel good about it. I think that really, one sense is that it gave me an understanding of people and how vulnerable we all are, right? Another thing that it really helped me out with was it gave me a huge understanding of credit. Credit plays a part in all of our lives one way or another, and it plays a big part in, obviously, when you're in debt, that can really hurt your credit. Mortgages, sometimes folks have collections. So that's given me a lot of insight on how to help people troubleshoot some of those issues. And I love credit, and I do think it's one of the things that a lot of us are most intimidated by, because we just don't know and understand it. And if the ship has gone in the wrong direction at all, it can be really intimidating for people to try to right that ship. So I really love giving people hope and trying to get them back on track with their credit.
And even people I've noticed that have credit issues, if they talk to you, I watched you do this, someone I recommended to you that wasn't getting paid correctly by a family member, and they needed some time to write, as you said, right the ship. And then they were telling me they got the house they wanted not that long later. It was like a year or something. I was surprised.
Yeah, it can be, if intentional work is put in, it can take a couple months. It can take a year. It's the biggest challenge is that sometimes when folks are in more of a desperate situation, they feel they want to give up. So that's where I love to give people hope, and that if we can do the work and get the steps, then you'll own a home.
Yeah.
If you're willing to walk the journey with me, I'll get you there.
Yeah. You can always, it's a worth conversation, because I've financed several houses through you, and I've always been amazed doing it commercially is different than residentially. And just, she's always like, don't go open a credit card, don't go buy a new car or whatever.
We do have many don'ts.
Things you don't think about in that window.
It is true. It is true. We try to give people upfront knowledge of the things that could trip them up during the process from the very beginning. After our first conversation, we have a do and don't list that we ask folks to go through, and then we remind them of that multiple times during the process.
In a non-judgmental way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no. So, we're all delicate, right? And things can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And finances are one of those things where one of the things I learned in debt collections actually was one medical event can change all of our lives. So it can be a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Guard your finances well.
Yeah. So getting a home is something that people, usually it's like a big milestone, right? To your point, it's the biggest transaction most people do in their lifetime. And again, very personal thing as well, right? This is your home where you're going to live and maybe raise a family, maybe get old in, right? It's a very personal thing. But it's also kind of a complicated process, and there's a lot of things that people can do right or wrong to mess up or really help their process. What do you see as the biggest points of friction that people run into when they're in that process? And that could be the internal side of how someone's processing taking on this big of a transaction, or it could be the more technical side of the actual finances and getting all that lined up.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's all personal. So everybody handles it a little bit differently. I would say the most common things we see are fear. People just get kind of, they get stopped in their tracks a little bit, and they're not sure, well, what's next? What can I afford? How can I do this? So just keeping people on track with that once they start the conversation can be a little bit of a challenge. And also because the media can play a part in what's going on. Sometimes when folks hear what's going on in the news, it's not necessarily what's happening in our local market. Mm-hmm. So that can stop people, and then they wait, and then they hesitate, and then they miss opportunities because they're not prepared. That's one of the biggest things that we see is just getting people prepared and making sure that when the time is right, they'll be able to pivot quickly. Because the market has been crazy for a number of years now, where if you are not prepared, you will lose. So getting lined up with your finances and your real estate team as soon as possible so you can make the right moves is really important.
So pre-approval, do it before you find the house.
Yeah, pre-approval. It's really heartbreaking for us sometimes. Every now and then we'll have clients that come to us and they've gone out shopping for a home first, because that's what you hear on TV, right? Like, oh, go look at homes, realtor.com, all those things. Go look at the homes. They don't say you should actually have your finances in line. But people will go, they'll make an offer on a home, and then when they come to us, they realize, I can't afford this. There's something that we uncover because our pre-approval process is very thorough. So there's something that we'll uncover that, they might have a debt that they didn't realize, or their income because they just switched to self-employment income or commission income. Things like that can trip you up. So that's why having the pre-approval in place ahead of time is just really, it's the only way to go, but it's not the only way that it happens.
How long does it take, and how long does that last?
A pre-approval can take as little as a couple hours. It can take a few days, depending on how complicated the scenario is. We have a credit pull is good for 120 days. What we will do in our process is once you're about day 90, we just check in to make sure that nothing has changed. If the credit is great, we refresh everything. If the credit is challenged, we'll take another look at the credit. That way we can make sure that nothing has jumped up that we're not expecting. So we have some folks, unfortunately, I guess for them, but fortunately for us because we love them, that have been with us a couple of years because they're just looking for a very specific property. So we just keep refreshing the pre-approval and making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be.
So when it comes along, they're ready.
Yeah. Well, and so we welcome people into, when they come to us, they're part of our team by family, and that's really important to us that they feel like family, but we don't want to be the family that drives them crazy in the process. So we try to monitor how much we're having conversations, but we do want them to feel comfortable and confident and know that they're going to be taken care of during the process. And so sometimes when these folks that have been with us a long time finally buy, it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to miss you. Please stay in touch.
You stay connected.
We try.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Do you have any go-to things that you do with people to help them feel empowered to buy a home when they're maybe struggling with that fear side or uncertainty?
Yeah, so we just try to instill the confidence to give them. We won't pre-approve people for more than they can afford. Mm-hmm. So it's the first conversation we have with them, we call it our discovery conversation. We're just looking to find out what's going on, how you plan on doing this. What are your long-term goals? Some folks come into it knowing they want to convert a property into an investment property. Others know they're only going to be in a property a couple of years and then they want to step up. So we want them to we want to make sure that their payment is in line with what their goals are, because that's really, most of us, the interest rate is the thing that people get, I think, stuck on a lot, and that's one of the things that we have going on in our market right now is the interest rates have impacted the way that some potential sellers are looking, because they don't want to give up their 2-3% interest rate for a lifestyle move that maybe, say, across the street, right? Mm-hmm. Where years ago the interest rates were very attractive and people would make lifestyle moves like that. Mm-hmm. But the people the two things that matter to them are, how much money is this going to take and how much is it going to cost me each month? So we want them to feel confident with that. And sometimes that also involves us potentially restructuring some debt, depending on if there is debt involved. We might take a look at, instead of putting X down on the financing, let's do Y and let's pay off some of this debt to free up some monthly cash flow to give you some comfort in that situation.
There's so many ways you can tackle stuff, and things change so much. It's like when I bought my house across the street, I had to get flood insurance, but now that's after 12 years, 13 years, that's gone away. I don't need it anymore.
Yes.
So it is interesting how things change. You got the PMI, like it's worth, I think, talking to you if people have questions, because I learn stuff. Sometimes I'll reach out to her and be like, hey, I saw this or that interest rate change. And she's like, well, it doesn't really affect us. So
so Laura's talking about the when the Fed meets and they have their interest rates adjustments, a lot of times folks feel that that's going to impact the mortgage rates directly, but it has an impact, but not necessarily direct. So as an example, if the Fed lowers the interest rates by a quarter, that doesn't necessarily mean that the interest rates are going to go down for long-term mortgages for a quarter.
Well, for years, the interest rates were so low. Are you seeing people do adjustable again now?
Adjustable is on the table, but generally speaking, the adjustable rate, in most cases, the adjustable rate mortgages are not as attractive is the best word I can think of.
Yeah.
So if this cycle continues, I would imagine that maybe we'll see a little bit bigger of a spread, but every now and then it might be worth taking a look at an adjustable rate. But the 30-year, historically, I mean, we're still in a really attractive range. So I don't see any reason to take that risk, especially if it's going to be a long-term home for the, 0.25%. Is it really worth it to take that risk that in 7 years where you're going to refinance and the rates could be higher and then your rate could adjust higher? Does it make sense?
Yeah. I bought a house in Florida, and you couldn't write the loan. You helped me find the guy that did write my loan. And she always gives good advice. Like, I want to do like a 15-year mortgage. And she's like, nope, do the 30, because you can always pay based on 15. But if something happens and you're prepared, and it's all good advice that you need.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we do try to look at the mortgage as if it's more than just a monthly payment. We want it to be a financial tool that goes hand in hand with folks and their financial plans long term. 15-year is great as far as paying down fast, but if there's some sort of life event that gets you tripped up, then that's a problem when it comes to a monthly budget. So, and you can always pay additional. It's not the same. I never ever try to tell people it's not exactly the same as paying 15-year, but it just gives you flexibility in case life happens.
I'm surprised too how often mortgages get sold. Like, that is amazing to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Fewer and fewer folks are holding on to their portfolios long term. One of the things that my company is doing right now is we are trying to service more of our loans, which I love. I hope that we can service 100% of our portfolio, because that means from the start that you stay with us.
I mean, it hasn't been a big deal, but it is interesting. The other thing that I learned is that, and you'd think I would know this from being on the other side of this loan business. In Florida, I did not put my taxes and insurance into the mortgage payment, and I didn't know this after I closed. I actually paid a higher interest rate, and I have the hassle of doing that. I thought it would be some, I don't know if I thought it was savings, but I didn't realize it was almost a little penalty. And then I got to remember to pay them.
Yeah.
So.
The investors view it as a bigger risk because once you take the taxes are a lienable item. So once you take those out of the mix where the lender can control them, when the consumer is controlling them, if you decide to not pay your taxes, the taxing authority will take precedent over the mortgages. So that's why there's generally a little bit of a cost.
Yeah,
not always, but often.
I didn't know. Can you do loans up to what? Like multiple units? Like, what's your...
In my world, residential lending is up to 4 units.
Okay.
And it can be owner-occupied or investment for those 4 units. After that, then we get into commercial financing.
So 4 units, okay. And you're multi-state, right?
My company is 50 states, all 50
Wow.
states. I personally am Pennsylvania and Virginia.
Okay.
And so whenever we have folks that come to us that are, looking to buy a beach home or something like that, I have a network of colleagues that I know and trust that I can send those folks to, which works out great.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the bigger connectors I've ever met in life. You tell her you're looking for something or need something, she's going to find it for you.
I do love connecting people. It's one of my joys.
Yeah.
So I love helping.
So we touched on it a little bit, I think, but what are some of the most common misconceptions that you see people have about mortgages?
So credit is definitely one. Folks feel that their credit has to be perfect, and perfect in credit doesn't exist, just for the record. There is no perfection, which is a great reminder for life in general. You just do the best you can. So sometimes people will feel that's a barrier to entry, and they won't chat with us. And then once somebody might finally prod them and they'll talk, and then they'll realize, wow, I can actually do this. Credit does impact interest rate, so that they will pay more, but they can get into a home sooner, because when you factor in, well, in a couple of years, the home may be valued higher, so it'll cost them more in that sense as well if they wait to get their credit perfect. The next thing would be savings. Sometimes there's still a huge perception that there has to be a 20% down payment, which is not true. First-time home buyer, actually even not always first-time home buyers, can have as little as 3% down, which sometimes is a great product, and sometimes not. We have to make sure that, we're being vigilant about taking care of people financially, and that we're not putting them into a product that's not going to work for them. But yeah, they don't have to have perfect credit, and they don't have to have as much money as they think they do. And those can be really empowering conversations so they stop making their landlord rich, so to speak, and they start making themselves rich with homeownership. And there's so many statistics that show once you own a home, that's the first step towards wealth building and legacy building for your family. So it's really cool that when they finally, that light goes on, they're like, okay, I can do this, which is really fun.
Yeah. What are some of the, like, if someone was going to sit down with you and be like, okay, just give me like the quick facts. What do I need to know or be thinking about as I prepare to get a home mortgage? What would you say? Like, even things like what range of credit score is like a starting point? What, like, should I expect in terms of like how much? You said 3% down, right? As a minimum, up to 20, depending on where you land, right?
Yeah.
But okay, like, is it 25% of income is like your max payment? Like, what are the kind of the quick facts that someone should keep in mind as they're looking?
Yeah. So there's so many in our world. We say it depends a lot. It depends.
Okay, yeah.
There are so many variables, and it's very personal. Yeah. And I would say if anybody is thinking about buying a home, the best thing they can do is have a conversation with us. Yeah. And if they're not ready, then we can get that plan in place. And we absolutely love walking that path with people where they're not ready just yet, but they become ready and they buy a home. And that's just it's super gratifying, right? It's like the people that think, I can never do this. And then they realize I can do this. They just need the right advice and the right team behind them. So as much as I'd love to kind of pin it down and say, you should have credit here and you should have money here, and if you're thinking about buying, have a conversation with us. And there are some grants out there for some folks that if they don't have enough money, there might be something to fill the bucket there. So yeah, we just love having that initial conversation and figuring out, is this the right time? Or, what do they say? It's not, no, it's just not yet. So.
And parents can help, right? That's kind of a situation for, new home buyers, prices being so crazy and not great inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of families, that they want to pass on their wealth now instead of waiting until they're no longer with the family. So that's been a huge help for a lot of first-time home buyers, even not necessarily first-time home buyers, but folks who are wanting to buy, and the parents are realizing this will be part of our legacy, and we'll get a chance to experience it, which is kind of cool too.
Well, they say do your giving while you're living, so you know where it's going.
Yeah.
But I would say 3 neighbors right around me have all had parents help them recently, which is great. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's, again, going back to that, home ownership is so important to legacy building and wealth building, that when a parent can help their child take that step, like, that's a huge step to their own empowerment and feeling that they're on that path as well. And someday they'll be able to do it for their kids if they choose. And so it's a neat legacy to start.
Are very many people refinancing? Are you seeing that?
We have some folks that are refinancing. Not at this point in the market. It's not. There's not a cascade of it. I would say we're still in the low end of it. Most of the refinances that we're doing now are either looking at debt structure, or there may be a divorce involved where where somebody has to come off the financing, and that's one of our specialties. So that kind of happens no matter what the market's doing, which is, sometimes it's tough because some of the folks are leaving 2% and 3% mortgages. But
are you in a group of what you were saying? They specialize in helping people through divorces, if being able to keep their home and stuff when maybe they think they can't. But is there a group that is like a financial advisor? Or there's an attorney. There's a whole team that kind of works together?
We do. We have. So I'm not necessarily part of a group, but I have many partnerships where I'm part of that wheel. I call it the financial wheel, right? You want your wheel to be round. You don't want it to be bumpy. So you want to have a great lender. You want to have a great financial advisor. You want to have a great attorney, CPA. You want to have those people that are going to help, especially when we're talking about divorce, to make sure that everything that you're looking at doing is going to serve you long-term financially.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are power partners, or But I think of it as a wheel, and we're definitely part of many people's wheels, which is great.
So call Leanne; she'll connect you with whatever you need.
I appreciate that. I do. We talked about it earlier. I love connecting folks, and that's it's really important to me that I surround myself with people and partners that know what they're doing. So when I am referring, that the folks that I'm referring out will have a seamless experience as well.
Yeah.
So we're living in a world that's getting more and more automated, technologies taking on so many things. And I know I see it sometimes in mortgage lending. There's a lot of ads out there that you can just click on and go check out a mortgage, right? So there's a lot of places for people to do this without really ever having a conversation with a person. At least they could get pretty far in the process, right? How do you see the human connection side of mortgage lending evolving in this technologically changing landscape?
Yeah, I think technology is great, and I think as things evolve, we'll see more and more automation where people will be able to complete the process without actually interacting with myself or my team, if they choose to. But I think there are still a fair amount of people, and no matter what generation we're talking about, that still want that personal connection. And that's what we're here for. I think one of the things that in my world you can get in your head about a lot of things, like the rates, and you can the market, the this, the that, the automation. There are always going to be people that want a personal experience, and that's what we'll be here to provide.
Mm-hmm. Get questions answered.
And I mean, they know us. There's not any uncertainty about, they can literally come and knock on my office door. It's easy to know that we are here and we are real, which some people want and some people it's not as important to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious, what's the quickest close you've seen? I mean, people have to have an appraisal, but a lot of people are waiving home inspections. I don't recommend it.
Still.
Yep. And we also have the ability in certain situations for an appraisal to be waived. So
wow.
Wow.
I didn't know
that one.
Yes. Yeah. So I think we've had the fastest was a 10-day close from contract to settlement. 10 calendar days,
if someone's
not
cash,
10 business
maybe,
days.
Probably.
Oh, cash you could close soon. This is with financing. We've had, we've gotten people to the finish line super fast. So we can make
10. Did you say 10 days?
10 days.
That is fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
If there's papers organized and
yeah, everything has to fall in line. But it can happen, and I mean, it generally doesn't have to happen that soon. But every now and then, that's the thing that will seal the deal. We can make it happen quickly.
Is norm about 45?
30 or less.
Oh, that's quicker than commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Commercial's a whole different animal. You guys have a little bit more due diligence and so forth. Yeah. With us, inspections can be one of you mentioned friction points earlier. That can be a friction point because inspections can turn up unexpected surprises, and that's something that you just can't do anything about. And that's one of the unfortunate things about our market right now, is that it is a negotiating tool. It doesn't seem like a fair negotiating tool. It's not like you're buying a mattress. Yeah. Right, where you can try it, and if you don't like it, you can return it. Yeah, a pair of shoes, something like that. Yeah, this is something that it's a huge investment. And so it's a little, I feel like the tables have tilted a little unfairly towards the consumers that really want an inspection.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that we saw post-COVID a lot. Folks waived all inspections, and then there were issues that they had to deal with that are not the seller's responsibility. So
you can have inspections, still get surprises. So.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That can be a misconception as well. I had an inspection and now this doesn't mean that everything's perfect and you'll never have an issue.
Yeah. I find commercial and residential, it has gotten better where if you're a lot of stuff you can upload, and it's just easier to answer questions quick versus trying to get a hold of somebody. So sometimes there's some nice things about the automation.
Yeah, and we try to give a balance of personal touch with the automation. A lot of folks appreciate there used to be a time in my career where people were either coming into my office or I was going to their homes and sitting at their kitchen table and doing things, and it took a bigger chunk of their time. So a lot of folks appreciate that touch of automation where we can still have a personal connection, but I don't have to take so much time out of my personal schedule to make this happen.
Do you find that you Zoom more to meet people initially than meet them? Or
Very few people actually want to meet in person. So Zoom and phone are the bulk of what we do now. Every now and then we have somebody that wants to come into the office, or I'll go to their home for whatever reason, but it's definitely the minority of the folks that we're helping right now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you're also really involved in the community and giving back. Which kind of giving back things are some of your favorites that are your go-tos? I know you have a few that are close to home, dear to your heart.
Yeah. So I'm on the board at the Harrisburg Salvation Army. I'm very proud of that. I love that organization. They do so much good for our community. I've been volunteering there for a number of years, and I've been on the board a couple years, and I still learn every time I'm there. I learn something new that they do. I'm just amazed at everything that they provide to our community, and they can't do it without the support of folks like us, right, that are filling the bucket, so to speak, and the kettles, I guess, more specifically. Mm-hmm. But it's really amazing what they do with so little and how many people they help. And I'd encourage anybody that's curious about it to go take a tour of the building, because once you see some of the stuff they do, you just want to learn more, because it's amazing what they do and how they do it. And they do it with so little money and such a giving heart. And they're just really there to serve. So I love that organization. I'm very passionate about it. Another organization that I'm involved with is the Midwest Food Bank of Pennsylvania. The name is somewhat confusing because it says Midwest. It was originally founded out in Iowa, and they have a branch in Pennsylvania. They rescue food and then they provide it to partners free of charge. So as an example, they might find a truckload of cereal that was going to go to waste. They'll rescue that, and then they'll give it to local food pantries and churches and so forth, and they don't charge for it. So, and they work on a shoestring budget. They only have full-time employees at the facility, and they help so many people. I love the Ronald McDonald House. It's tough to not love that. And I'm actually just a sucker for any good cause. I love participating. I love helping. I just love connecting and seeing how we can pull things together. People said, if you could do this full time, would you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I never thought of it like that, but I would love to be able to do more. But time just
you do a lot, and it's a passion of yours. I mean, anyone that knows you knows that.
I'm very grateful to be able to help. Again, we're all just one click away from being on the other side of things. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really, really grateful that God has given me the grace to be where I am and to help people and do what I do. So, yeah. And it's only by His grace that I can do any of it. So,
love your heart.
Love your heart.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. The Salvation Army one is really interesting because it has just exploded, the number of women that come to this, and it was 700 or something? Crazy.
Yeah, so Laura's referencing Shoe Strut, which is an annual event in the fall. It's held down at the Hershey Lodge. I think we had 750 women there. Last year we raised over $200,000 in that afternoon. So it's a lunchtime event, and it is mostly women, which I think it's just a testament to the warriors that women can be, coming together over a lunch and raising over $200,000 to help kids. And for every attendee, a pair of shoes gets issued to a child. So it's the event that just keeps giving. And as a result of that all goes back into the programming at the Salvation Army. So it is cool.
It's probably the largest charitable event in the area.
If it's not, it's got to be close. But yeah. I do think it is probably the biggest. Mm-hmm. And it is very intentionally aimed at trying to be the best every year.
Yeah,
so
it's impressive.
We have goals to to exceed every year. So so it'll be interesting this year. Let's see if we can top over $200,000 again.
Yeah. Where do you have 750 women gather?
The Hershey Lodge.
In the lodge. Okay.
Yep, yeah, in the lodge. So traditionally, the past couple of years, we've had the red, white, and blue rooms down at the lodge. This year, we'll only have 2 of the rooms because of a little bit of a scheduling glitch. So it'll be tight quarters.
Move all the stuff outside.
The
number of possible things you can bid on is
we've
never seen like it.
I think we had over 300 silent auction items, and we have a live auction as well. So it's a lot of fun. And
it was just hundreds of feet of tables of things. It was crazy.
Yeah, it is touted as the largest silent auction in our area. So I think it'd be tough to beat it. And that's just people coming together and donating, and so it's because of folks like you guys that are sitting in the room and business owners that want to give. So without all of you, none of this happens. We all pull together.
She doesn't really sleep.
That is not true. I sleep, and I sleep well.
I've roomed with her on vacation, so I beg to differ. But
you serve on the board, right, for Salvation Army. So you're pretty involved in that event and that organization. Do you serve on other boards? You said Mid-Memphis Food Bank.
I'm involved with that organization. I'm not on the board.
Okay.
I'm only on the board of the Salvation Army. Not because I don't love that organization, but I feel I haven't figured out. I know folks that have and friends that have multiple board obligations, and I just haven't figured out how to spread myself that far and how to not I don't know, feel like I'm serving 2 masters, I guess.
But you're very involved. I mean,
I try to be as involved as I possibly can. This community is, without us having a community, it all falls apart. So, and the hope is that these lives that we're touching, no matter what the circumstances, that somewhere along the line, they have the ability to pay it forward as well. I mean, that's the goal is to, we're not looking as much as, I guess, the handout is the hand up. We really want to empower people and bring them forward in their journeys in life. This is the Salvation Army has sustainability programs for finances and making sure, like bill paying and everything. So it's really, their whole goal is to make people self-sufficient and feel really proud and empowered about the life that they're leading, and know that there are people that love them regardless of where they live or who they are,
Yeah, I love the honor of just the human value, just that being a human has value, regardless of what your circumstances are, what your health and your finances, any of it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely, I agree.
Being a human has value.
Yeah,
and honoring that and lifting that up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm curious, out of all your networking and marketing, like what do you do that drives your business? What have you seen that's been successful for you?
That's a great question. I think.
Do you know?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that serves us really well is serving others. So I believe that activity leads to action. And so I think being involved with different folks and different groups and different nonprofits, I think all those things are things that can't hurt us. And we try to give a very personal experience to our team by family as well, and stay in touch with them. And so I think that helps. It's really, most of us just want to be like seen and heard, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we try to see and hear as many people as we can and make them feel comfortable and know that we're always here to help, whether it's work. That one of my things is I have my day job, so I can help people at night. That's the thing. And I think that we get our team by family involved in our giving as well. We do couple things annually. We do a pay it forward where we send them $1 and ask them to do something kind with it and let us know. And then we have a little contest and we'll draw to make a donation to whoever gets drawn. We make a donation to a nonprofit of their choice. So it's really, we could do more. Trust me, we could do more. Those are things that always we think about. But I think just giving a personal experience, we're willing to help anybody that we possibly can. And that, I think, just leads to good energy.
So my daughter Aubrey, her bestie from here, who she went to college with in Florida, has come back and gotten into a family business, roofing. And we had dinner the other night, and she said that you got her involved in some networking groups.
I've been trying, yeah.
Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah, well, so
just starting out in her career.
Yeah, so it can be really intimidating starting out. And she's been away for a couple of years. This is her home, but she's been away a couple of years in a family business. And so if you, again, it's just like that pulling women up and pulling people up. There was a time in my career that I would have loved if somebody would have just put their hand out and said, hey, I'm here to help you. Just having that little bit of support. So hopefully that will lead to all positive things for her. And she's willing to show up. That counts too. You can try to help, but if the folks don't want to come, then you can't do anything about it. But hopefully some of those connections along the way will end up being really bountiful and fruitful connections for her.
Yeah, she was telling me. So
yeah, it is my pleasure. Yeah, she's a great girl. And to give her credit, she saw me at an event and she recognized me and she came up and said hello.
Wow.
So I think that's a message to all young folks out there that are starting their career, that if you're at an event and you see somebody, the reason you're there is to make connections. So don't be afraid to go up and say hi. Because if she hadn't said hi, I don't know that I would have, who knows when my path would have crossed with her. So
Right. Yeah.
And then I was just talking with her and getting to know what she's doing with the company and trying to figure out how I can help.
That's great.
Yeah, she's a sweet girl. She's going to do well.
She's a sweet kid.
So 2 questions for you to wrap up. Believe it or not, we're getting close to the end of our time. It goes so fast every time. First off, what advice would you give to someone, besides talking to you, for someone who's like, okay, I'm getting amped up to this homeownership thing. I'm excited about it, but I'm not sure what I need to do. But what advice would you just blanket give to people who are getting ready to buy either their first home or change their situation?
Blanket advice, I would say just do it. Do it sooner than later. There's always this perception of market timing. Well, the houses are so expensive, the rates are high. There's all these reasons. But traditionally, there's really no bad time to buy. Every now and then you hit a really weird low, but Central Pennsylvania is very privileged in the sense that we have a lot of things going for us real estate wise. We have federal government, we have state government, we have military, we have colleges, transportation. We have all the things that make us somewhat insulated from a lot of the highs, but also the lows.
Right.
So this area is just ripe with opportunity. So I would say do it sooner than later. Because it's only going to cost you more money. Will there be a dip in real estate and could you get a deal? Yeah, maybe, but who knows how long it'll take for that to happen. So who knows how much it'll have cost yourself. And we're happy to do those analysis for you too. Sometimes it's stunning how much it's cost you, but yeah, just do it sooner than later. Be as prepared as you possibly can. It's never too soon to start saving. One of the things that we try to walk folks through is if you're thinking about having a $1,500 a month mortgage payment, try to save that much money, which isn't always easy if you're paying rent. But if your rent's $1,200, then save an additional $300, and so that way you're getting yourself acclimated to what that mortgage payment looks like. Credit is tricky. If you're not sure, reach out to somebody. Don't believe everything you read online. It's not true. A credit tip for everybody, no matter if you're buying or not, is to freeze your credit because the more and more we're all getting breached. I just had my credit card breached about a week or so ago. So if you're breaching your credit, that credit freeze won't stop that, but it will stop somebody from opening new accounts on your credit. And they've made it very easy. It used to be a really cumbersome process. Now it's very easy to just freeze and freeze your credit. Yeah. Freeze it, and then when somebody needs it, and that way there's no surprise accounts because believe it or not, folks have had mortgages put on their credit that they've had no idea about. So it is not a bad idea.
Yeah. I wish they would do that for businesses. Someone just bought cell phones on my company, and the process to get that off my credit it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a nightmare. It's not. It's much easier to just freeze your credit.
Yeah. Well, and you years ago gave me good advice if people don't know about credit reports.
Yeah. So once a year, you can get through annualcreditreport.com. You can get a report from each of the repositories. I recommend generally staggering them since you can only do it once a year. So you can do TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, just like every 4 months, and kind of keep an eye on things. And now there are so many more credit monitoring sites that you can do that are no charge. They're just, you put up with the ads and so forth. Annualcreditreport.com doesn't come with a scoring component, and sometimes that's really what people want to see. There are other applications out there that'll give you an idea of what your score is. That's something else that I guess tip-wise, what you see on the consumer side isn't necessarily what we see on the mortgage side score-wise. So don't take that as the holy grail of credit. It gives us a barometer, but it's often different than what we see.
The other thing I've found is that things I opened in my 20s and 30s still show up on my credit report. Like they never go away, even though I've closed them decades ago.
Yeah, and that's one of the components of credit scoring is the length of your credit history. So it's actually, it's good that they're there. A lot of times people think, oh, I want to
Hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, so the credit scoring models have changed over the years. It used to be you would have, you didn't want a lot of open accounts because of a count against you. Now you want open accounts, you don't want to close them because that can actually hurt your scores. But there are exceptions to every rule. So I'd say if you have questions, definitely talk to somebody about it.
I always have questions.
I love questions.
Speaking of questions, we have one more for you.
Fantastic.
So our final question, we ask this to every guest. It's so fun to see everybody's different answers, but is if you could go back and start your career over again, but keep all the knowledge and experiences that you've gained over the years, is there anything that you would do differently and why?
I would go up and introduce myself to the person at the event. When I first got into this business, I was a little bit more timid and shy about, well, I don't know a lot, and I don't know, and I had never networked before. All of my previous experience was behind the bar. I networked, but it was different. I was always in an office. I wasn't responsible to go out and meet people. In this role, I'm very much responsible for meeting people and building relationships. So I would have done what she did, the young lady did, and I would have gone up and introduced myself. I would have done more of that sooner, but that's how I met Laura, was through a women's networking group. So thankfully I figured it out, and I had an opportunity to meet great ladies like her. It just took me a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would not be so fearful. I was intimidated and a little gun shy, and I did not push forward as quickly as I think I could have. Yeah. So that's what I would do.
I feel like a lot of the youth is better at that. When I watch my daughters.
Yeah, I do. I think there's something, I don't know, I have no idea what to attribute it to, but I don't disagree with you that the younger folks seem to be a little bit more at ease with being in the mix of, because the event where I ran into her, there was a couple hundred people, and she was actually there on her own as well. Somebody had told her about it, and she decided to go, and so that's key. Just get out there and mix it up. You never know who you're going to meet and what path it'll lead you down.
It's true.
Before you know, you'll be sitting here on a podcast.
Awesome. Great advice. Love it. Yeah. Leanne, thanks so much for joining us today. It was great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. Thanks.
It was fun.
That's it for today's conversation with Leanne Via from Team Via at Fairway Independent Mortgage. I hope you found her perspective on lending, relationships, and serving clients through life's biggest financial decisions as meaningful and insightful as we did. You'll find all the links to connect with her and with us at SB & Lattice in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on Beyond the Deal. Until next time, keep going, keep growing, and keep building your story.